Sharing with you in this video how to detach from your mind and create your goals faster as a result of it. And so the reason why I believe that this topic is very powerful is because what I believe many people do is they live from a space of identification with their mind, and then as a result, identification with their emotions. And so this is a problem. This is a very huge problem, because what happens is that I personally believe that when we're walking from life identified with our mind, all the creative power that you have to create your life the way that you want it gets stunted. It gets blocked. There's blockages that occur when you do this. And then so in this video, what we're going to be doing is investigating this to make it so that you don't actually have to do this and then have this attachment to the mind, which then blocks your creative power. And then so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to actually do this, how to detach from your mind and create your goals faster, is to firstly understand that you are not your mind. It's just as simple as that. You know, your existence is going to be happening prior to your mind producing stuff, right? Your existence is not dependent upon your mind. Your existence is just going to be existence regardless of whatever your mind is producing. So from this space, I believe that your creative power gets opened up, so to speak. Your creative power gets opened up, so to speak, because now you're living from a space of zero attachment to the good or the bad, right? But if you're attached to the good and then you think the bad is really bad, it's like, that's not the right space to be creating from. So really what I want you to understand is that to create your goals faster, you want to be coming from a space of having the gnosis, having the knowing, not the belief. This is not about belief. You want to have the gnosis that you are not your mind. And then so the second thing to do here that I really believe is powerful way to detach from your mind and create your goals faster is to have an understanding and a gnosis as well that your mind is only a tool. That's all it is. It's not something to attach to. It's not something to become. Like, of course, you know that in a lot of videos and in a lot of books that we read, we talk about becoming your goal, right? Like, I am something. Like, I am this. Of course, that's powerful stuff. That's powerful stuff. But beneath that, while you do this, and of course, yes, I encourage you to do this, of course, you do want to use I am in a powerful way. Become your goal. Become who you truly want to be. But while you do this, what I invite and encourage you to do is to value being connected to your essence, being connected to your true essence and how you're doing what you're doing. Because if you're doing the whole I am thing, but you're truly attached to all of it, there's no freedom there to see that your mind is just a tool and your body and your mind is the conduit for the divine intention within you to flow and to create. Well, then what's happening is that you're always going to be suffering while you create. Creating is always going to be just to get a result. You're never going to be happy in the present moment while you're creating what you want. Because what you're doing is that you're dependent on the result to be happy. Rather than seeing your mind as just a tool, you allow your mind to use you. Rather than you using your mind, you allow your mind to use you. The tool uses you. You forget how to use the tool. It's like almost like when you use a knife, instead of using it properly, you start injuring yourself by accident too much. You start accidentally cutting your fingers and cutting your whole, all your hands. All your hands get cut. That's a good example of when you don't know how to use a knife, you start to have problems. In a similar way, if you don't know how to use your own mind, there's going to be problems. You have to know how to use your mind. You have to know how to see that your mind is just a conduit again for the divine intention within you to flow. That's all it is. And then so the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is really to have an understanding that what you want to start to do is to control your mind, of course. Control your mind, control whatever you want to do in your life, control all your thoughts, control your thoughts to help you get closer to your desires. But also what I want you to do is control your mind without attaching to it. That's a powerful technique that I invite and encourage you to do. That's going to help you to create what you want in a much more powerful way, because what you're doing now is you're in the creation process, but there's no attachment to the process, which frees up more life force and creative energy within you to actually create. See, like I said, if you're attaching to your thoughts, what that's doing is that's literally lowering your amount of creative life force to create what you want, because you feel constantly drained. You feel constantly attached to the past and things that have happened. You're not able to just simply move on. And when you can't move on, when you're just attached to the things of the past, what begins to happen is that you are not able to, again, create freely from a space of just feeling like you're actually wanting to create what you want to create. Everything becomes a burden, everything becomes tough, everything becomes hard to do, rather than just having a flow state, rather than having a state of flow where you move on from things fast and you learn lessons fast and you become an action taker consistently. You consistently attach to the past and you complain and you become a victim and you become attached to why things can't be the way that you want. And then so this is a huge problem, because really none of this is necessary. This whole chaos and this drama and this too much fast-paced energy and everything's too much for me and it's all overwhelming. It's like none of this is necessary. It's like the ego construct, or at least attachment to it. Not to say that the ego is bad, but attaching to the ego is what creates all of these problems for us. So what we're really doing here in this process of taking back our creative power is we're beginning to build a better relationship with our ego. See, oftentimes even in the spiritual community, what can happen is that they say the ego is bad. Money is bad, the ego is bad, detached from all thoughts. Really? Really? If that was the case, then like how are we going to integrate back into daily life? You know, the most powerful spiritual teachers, what they will invite and encourage you to do is understand that life in of itself is the ultimate spiritual practice. And then so ultimately how to accomplish this is to understand that you can still create, you can still do what you want, but it's not about really what you're creating at that point. It's how much spiritual life force do you have while you're doing it, while you're creating it, while you're doing what you want to do. This is where the true creative power begins to happen. This is where you truly start to create from a place of, again, divine intention, from purity, where you align the divine intention of life with your intention of the ego, and then you bring those two things together and you have a positive relationship with your desires, rather than having resistance to your desires and then having guilt about your desires and having shame about your desires. You begin to come from a place of actually having fun while you create. And again, the way to do this is to use your mind, but then don't be attached to it while you're doing it. Have no attachment. Remember the truth of who you are while you're actually creating what you want. And then I believe that this is going to put you in a position of leverage to make it so that it's much more probable for you to create what you actually want in your life, because again, you're aligning with that divine intention and you choose a path that doesn't have to have so much resistance, but oftentimes can actually lead to much more action that you wouldn't have been able to take if you were actually attached to your ego and attached to the ego construct, rather than having a positive relationship with it.